Welcome to F3 on 4 from Oulton Park, the show that brings you the very best of British single-seater racing. And it's also the place where the next generation of future Grand Prix stars can get noticed. Now, one man's already made a real mark this year by winning the first 2 of the 14-race series, and that's Antônio Pizzonia. I'm going to be having a chat with him later in the show, but first, John Clelland's going to give you the highlights of round 2.
Nicolas Kiesa made a great impression at Croft. He dominated qualifying for most of the time and ended up in pole position. However, it went wrong at the start. He stalled the car and ended up 9th after the second corner. And as Jimmy Bruni saw, both Scheckter and Sato made similar mistakes. So what's difficult about starting a Formula 3 car? Well, all the controls are very similar to a normal road car, but this is the tiny little clutch plate that controls it all. Now, these engines have very little torque, so unlike a road car where you could slip the clutch, this clutch pedal is either in or it's out. You get it wrong, the engine stalls. Now, there's another control in this car that's different to a normal road car. Let me take the wheel off and I'll show you exactly. This is the brake balance adjuster. Now, this adjusts the pressure on the front braking to the rear braking. Now, it's very sensitive. Just half a turn makes all the difference. Narain Karthikeyan demonstrated what happens when you get it wrong.
I was pushing really hard towards the middle of the race, and from the beginning of the race my fronts were locking up a lot. So I thought in order to catch Pizzonia, I thought, okay, I'll play around with my brake bias and I balanced the brake more to the rear, and I should have done half a turn maybe, and I did one full turn on the brake bias. So the first time I braked for the corner, it was the first corner and the rear's locked, and I caught the slide, but then I ran out of road, and that was that.
So what do we know about the young man that set the pace since the beginning of the season? Well, this is Manor Motorsport, and it's been his home since the latter half of 1998. Here's Martin Haven.
Antonio Pizzonia has won 14 titles since he started karting at the age of 10. When he outgrew his home track at Manaus in the Amazon jungle, he'd fly for 3.5 hours to Sao Paulo. He's gained huge coverage in the British tabloids by continuing his winning ways over here, most recently with Manor Motorsport's John Booth.
He's obviously a special talent. Only time will tell how good he is, but he's good attitude, very keen to learn, and his results speak themselves.
Racing in England has given the 19-year-old jungle boy the problem of adapting to a different culture and climate. But at Oulton Park, the sun shone and the crowd certainly kept Antonio busy.
Now, Antonio, this huge crowd around you is proof of the pudding that you're a very, very popular driver. You've come to the Formula 3 Championship and you have really dominated it so far. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think hard work, that's the word. I've been working so hard since I started racing, and I think I have to thank all my family and sponsors and everything, because they really helped me. And
you're also being tipped to move straight into Formula 1 and follow in the footsteps of Jenson Button. Do you think that's likely? Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, I think it's too early to say. I think we still have a long championship to go, long way to go, and well, we've been talking to some teams, but I can comment a lot. So, yeah, I'll be testing soon, and we'll see what's going to happen on the test, and maybe after that they can offer me a contract for next year, and we'll see.
And that might be Benetton?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Oulton Park is a great circuit for a driver. It's full of fantastic corners, particularly this first corner here, Old Hall, which is only 200 metres from the start line, which is quite wide. But when all the drivers funnel down in here, it becomes very narrow, and it always creates incident, as Mark Hines found out last year. Having qualified back in 5th place, he found himself being squeezed onto the grass by Aloysiu Coelho, giving me his worst result of the year, 10th position. That handed the lead in the title to Luciano Berti, who's now Jaguar's Formula 1 test driver. The Formula 3 guys use the longest of the Oulton Park circuits, and this corner, Shell Oils, is the furthest point from the start-finish line. It's also unique in that it's heavily banked, and this allows you to carry much more speed into the corner, and sometimes you can overtake round the outside here. Druids is one of the fastest, bravest corners on the circuit. It's a double apex corner. The first apex is here, and the second apex is 50 yards further on. Now it's crucial to get the speed out of there, because that gives you the terminal speed down the main straight, and then a very good overtaking opportunity in the way into Lodge Corner. Oulton Park is full of character. It's got slow corners and very, very fast corners. It produces great racing, and I've yet to meet a driver that doesn't love it.
Well, Nicolas Kiesa may have got it wrong starting from pole at Croft, but Mark Hines' experiences here last year proved that it's a risky business being in the middle of the pack at the start, so everybody's going to be keen to get a spot near the front. Qualifying was earlier and Martin Haven's got the details.
In contrast to the wet Grand Prix weekend, Oulton was beautiful. Gary Paffett remains unbeaten in the scholarship class, but by qualifying in 15th, he wouldn't be challenging the top championship runners. Ben Collins was on the front row here 2 years ago, and for much of the first session looked like repeating that to take pole, but in the end he had to settle for 4th. Narain Karthikeyan was hoping to erase the memory of his mistake at Croft. But by 5 minutes into the first session, he was back in the pits covered in mud. Spun off in the race at Cascades last year, and this time he spun there again. He was lucky not to do any serious damage.
Well, car's okay, but we have some problems. We'll have to work them out, and then we'll see.
What problems are they?
I can't talk about it.
Narain managed 5th in the end, one ahead of Renault driver Matt Davis, while his teammate Andy Priaulx was in 3rd.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. I really felt that I saw 30.4 come up on the screen, and I thought, yes, that's pole. But obviously, a couple of other guys pulled it out of the hat when they needed to. I'm really pleased with everything really, because Croft was difficult, and now we've improved. All of us, we've all improved our performance.
Thomas Scheckter was 5th fastest in the morning session and took provisional pole halfway through the afternoon runs, only to be pipped 6 minutes from the end. The cheerful South African seemed happy enough with 2nd.
Yeah, I had briefly pole, but we made improvements from the first session, and me and him are 1-2 in the championship. I just have to get a good start this time and try pass him. Do what he's been doing, trying to get it off the line properly. But the car is good, and I'm happy for the team.
Antonio Pizzonia has 2 wins this year, but no poles. But at Oulton, he rectified that. He held pole for most of the day, grabbing it back from Scheckter by less than a tenth.
I'm very happy, not only because I'm on pole, but we made a big improvement on the car from the first session, and I think that's really important, because I was a little bit worried, and now the car is fine, but I think we still can improve a little bit more for the race.
Confirmation then of the top 2 positions. Pizzonia ahead of Scheckter. Andy Priaulx equals his best qualifying of the year. Ben Collins far exceeds his with 4th ahead of Karthikeyan and Matthew Davis. Comfortable scholarship pole position for Gary Paffett ahead of the Japanese Atsushi Katsumata, Romano and Colombo ahead of Ryan Walker and Mark Mayle.
The cars are just about to start their green flag lap now, so we'll take a quick break. Join us in a couple of minutes in F3 on 4. Welcome back to F3 on 4 and the 3rd round of the green flag British Formula 3 Championship. Everything's ready to go, so we'll go to Martin Haven for the race.
Drivers on the grid. The onboard camera shows Tomas Scheckter waiting for the flag marshals to clear. Ahead for the sanctuary of the pit wall and the pit lane as the seconds tick away. Will they get away cleanly this time? The revs rise, the tension mounts. Away they go. Clean start from everyone. Ooh, Torsia Charlton very sideways. Pizzonia fends off Tomas Scheckter into the first corner, riding through Old Hall with Scheckter wheel to wheel, and Scheckter takes the lead as they head down to the Cascades. Pizzonia tried to fight back, but Scheckter made the move stick. The 2 Renaults dicing for 3rd. Karthikeyan, then Gianmaria, Bruni, and that's Ben Collins pulling off. He's got a puncture, and he's been caught out, just like Mark Hines last year. Leaders coming down to Ireland. Somebody on the grass. That's Bruni. He'll have lost speed. Maybe a position there. Not quite. This is Michael Bentwood. 2 spots further back. He's his teammate. Goes past Takuma Sato on the entrance to the Shell Oils corner. Very tight banked corner, gets the place there, and Sato's missing half his nose wing. It may well have been that punctured his teammate Ben Collins' tyre. And here is Collins. He's taken a shortcut around the track. Don't forget, with that puncher, he won't be doing anything like the speed of the leaders, and here they come, jostling behind the Renault pair. Priaulx still in third place, though, right on Pizzonia's tail. Well, what a dreadful start for Ben Collins. Here we are on the onboard. Everybody flies past. He stays on the right-hand side, off the racing line. Scheckter, a slight gap to Pizzonia, under pressure from Priaulx. Then Davis, Karthikeyan and Bruni. There's Bentwood, Sato, Martin O'Connell. Milos Pavlovich, number 11, ahead of teammate Kiesa, who started 2 places in front of him on the grid. Plenty of position changes, but for the third race in a row, second on the grid has provided the race leader on lap 1. Scheckter leads, and the question now is, can Antônio Pizzonia overtake people in the race? Well, he seems to be more worried about the Renault driver Andy Priaulx behind him at the moment, and with good reason. 55 at Sushi Katsumata leads the scholarship class from Gary Paffett. Marcel Romanio went through there in third place. Oh, and look at that. That's Philip Hopkins trying to pick up a spot from Wesley Barber. Into the pits then comes Ben Collins, a very long and very disappointing first lap for him. Reaches the Carlin Motorsport crew, and he's turning the wheel to be pushed back into the garage. Nicolas, lap 2, Scheckter with a small cushion. Pizzonia still holding off Andy Priaulx. Top 3 all in their first season of F3 racing. Matt Davis, more experienced, back in 4th place. And Amanda is with Ben Collins' boss, Trevor Carlin.
What's happening? He's obviously got a flat tyre, but how did it...
Someone hit him up the back, I don't know who yet. So we're going to put a new tyre on it, check the rear damage. There's no damage, so just go out and have a bit of a run and see if we get past this lap.
Well, let's see if we can find out what happened. Courtesy of Michael Bentwood at the start, Takuma Sato moves past Bentwood. On the left-hand side of the picture is Ben Collins. He qualified 4th, Sato 11th. But unfortunately, this is where they come together. Front wing and tyre make contact, and both of them have ruined races as a result. Sato's countryman at Sushi Katsumata still leading the scholarship class. He's 13th, Gary Paffett right behind him, 14th. There certainly isn't the difference that we saw between Paffett and the rest of the field at Thruxton. Milos Pavlovich in 9th place. He's got past Juan Manuel Lopez and the damaged Sato. He's chasing Martin O'Connell up from 13th on the grid to 8th, and there is O'Connell just coming into the elite. Well, Takuma Sato holding up quite a train. Juan Manuel Lopez, the Argentine, right behind. Then Nicolas Kiesa, and Sato 2 or 3 seconds off the pace is definitely holding up them and the rest of the field. This pair really should be concentrating on getting past Sato before they get embroiled with the scholarship runners, especially Kiesa. Poleman at Croft, don't forget, 8th on the grid here, running only 12th, 3 spots behind Pavlovich, his teammate. Trying a wide line now at Cascades, but that won't work with Lopez. As they run up towards Shell Oils, the leaders are on their way out. Scheckter looking secure. Much easier to keep somebody behind you in Formula 3 than it is to get past them. Pizzonia still close on his tail. But where is the Guernseyman? Looks as though Priaulx is dropping back. There he is, still in 3rd place. Davis in 4th. The leaders closing up, under braking at the chicane. Through Knickerbrook and up Clay Hill, and Pizzonia is definitely much closer now than he has been in the last couple of laps. But up Clay Hill, Scheckter still leads, and no sign yet of a challenge from the Brazilian. Further back at the chicane, Sato and his queue right behind. There's Katsumata, 13th, still leading the scholarship class. Tor Sriacharvanan right behind him, not Gary Paffett, so Sriacharvanan is moving up the order. The Thai challenging the Japanese. Sato holding off Lopez still, and it looks as though he may even be closing a fraction on Pavlovich ahead of him. Well, there is the Yugoslav, and look at Kiesa, his teammate, trying to pass Lopez. Down the inside he comes, a classic move, well made. No brake lock-up from him, notice, as there was from Sato, and that's because he's got full front downforce. Sato with only half a wing certainly has not. And Tor Sriacharvanan gets past the scholarship class leader now, and that means that Gary Paffett is right on his tail. The Japanese will have to watch out. So will countryman Sato, with the fired-up Kiesa right behind him now, having picked up that spot. And there goes Katsumata on the dirt. He's lost it. Spins across the track, loses control of the car. He's in the barriers, and it looks as though his race is over. Gary Paffett certainly has the lead of the scholarship class back now. And the wheel comes out in disgust. That's it. Pizzonia keeping up the pressure on Scheckter out front. No way now is he going to settle for 2nd place. You don't win all those championships by sitting and waiting for somebody else to make a mistake. Pizzonia is a winner, and he wants to win here as well. On the pit wall, his Brazilian girlfriend, Gabriela Tavares, and his mother, Lucy Lenny, looking a little bit worried there. Meanwhile, the tightest battle of the race for 10th place, with Kiesa challenging Sato. Sato at a distinct disadvantage. Kiesa undoubtedly going to try and repeat the move he pulled here last time round on Lopez. Sato sticks to the inside line. Monster lock-up as Kiesa has the better line and takes the position, but Sato is right with him as they come across the start-finish line. Here's the Meritus crew, their man Marcel Romanio, third in class. Oh, and contact! Oh, big impact for Nicolas Kiesa. Making contact with Takuma Sato. Sato coming down the inside. Chiesa's not happy with that one. And here's Sato's pit. There is Trevor Carlin again, the team boss. Both of his drivers out of this race. Not a good weekend for them. Well, the important thing is that Takuma Sato is okay, as is Kiesa. Walking away ruefully. Kiesa now a little look back. Safety car will come out now to allow the marshals to clear up the debris and, most importantly, rebuild that protective tyre wall. Red and yellow flag, incidentally, meaning oil on the track or a slippery surface. So the race brought under control behind the safety car. Field bunching up. Scheckter, Pizzonia, Priaulx, Davis, Karthikeyan, Bruni, top 6, as they have been almost since the start. Well, let's have a look at this again. Sato down the inside. Kiesa leaving him no room, and the Japanese launched over the wheels of the Dame's car. It could have been very nasty in the end, both men walking away, perhaps very fortunate to emerge unscathed. That's Chiesa's car. Plenty of work to do before the Donington meeting, just a week away. Well, the debris cleared up, they're ready to go, and Scheckter pulling a huge march here on Pizzonia, a long way ahead as they come out of Deer Leap. The green flag waves, they're racing again, but Pizzonia left for dead. A great restart by Scheckter. The Renault boys third and fourth from Karthikeyan, then the Fortec pair with Martin O'Connell right behind them. And the gap's all fairly even. 10 minutes remaining in the race. Who can break the stranglehold of this top 6 layout? Well, here's Pavlovich having a go, sniffing around at the back of Martin O'Connell's machine. No way through there, but maybe something at Shell Oils. But look at these gaps between the leaders, around 5 or 6 tenths between all of these cars. Little lock up there from Bruni, but nothing spectacular. And it really is going to take something major for Karthikeyan or any of these others to unsettle the order in the closing stages. It's so easy to get almost mesmerised by the speed of the car ahead. Unless you catch him at high speed and can make a pass immediately, it is very difficult to work in the turbulent air behind a modern racing car. Scheckter, Pizzonia and Priaulx, then Davis, Karthikeyan, and here is the second of the Fortec cars chasing Gianmaria Bruni. It's Michael Bentwood. Well, Pizzonia has lost the fastest lap of the race in the last 2 events to Scheckter. Scheckter was in second place, chasing him in that instance. Can he at least get the point for fastest lap here? Don't forget, though, that Ben Collins is also out in his car, hunting for that point as well. Scheckter out front, Pizzonia dropping Priaulx now. Davis looking under threat from Karthikeyan, but nothing too much happening. Worried faces at Manor Motorsport. They can see the time ticking away, and their man not able to be in a position to make a move yet. Well, let's have a look again at the start with Scheckter. Running down on the outside line, he's got Pizzonia inside him. Pizzonia takes the lead, runs a little wide. Brief moment there where they almost touched. That's where Scheckter really took control of this race, and he holds it still. Pizzonia now, though, in the closing stages, starting to get a little desperate, makes a lunge. That was a very concerted effort to get that close as they came into Lodge. Look at the contrast on the pit wall. The Stewart team egging their man on with everything they've got. Well, Pizzonia now head down and charging. He knows that he is running out of time, but for the Scheckter family, time can't pass quickly enough. Into Lodge, Alan Docking Racing boys at it. Torshia Charvanen dives inside Wesley Barber for 12th place behind the scholarship class leader Gary Paffett. And there is Marcel Romanio and Warren Carway. They're battling away as well. Final lap. Scheckter still leads from Pizzonia. Tiny margin, but it's a margin all the same. Into Knickerbrook. No outbreaking attempts there. A tough battle. No silly moves. Surely now on the final lap from Antonio Pizzonia. He knows that points per second are more important than finishing in the barriers and much more valuable. Just one chance left. At the end of the straight, the outbreaking manoeuvre into Lodge. We've seen it done, but he's too far back from Scheckter to do anything than have an accident, and he doesn't make a move. Scheckter will hold on, surely, to cross the line and win the third round of the British Formula 3 Championship. No hat-trick for Pizzonia, but a maiden win for Tomas Scheckter. Congratulations from the Stewart team too for Karthikeyan in fifth. Scheckter hats his faithful steed, and Amanda's with his father.
Now, was it quite plain sailing? I mean, he obviously got a very good start.
Well, not for me. It was really tough for me. It was quite easy for him.
He did make a very good start, though. He got ahead of Pizzonia.
Yeah, and he had made bad starts in the other races, so he got a good start, and that's what it's about quite a lot of the time. Yeah.
And what are your first words going to be to him?
Good job, I think.
A quick word with the two of you. You must be a bit disappointed for him not to have won yet again.
Yes, but it happens. We still hoping that he does a good job next race, and that's good. Second is still good.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just outside the top 10, 11th place finish for Gary Paffett, his third consecutive victory in the scholarship class. Well, here's how they finished then. Scheckter just half a second from Pizzonia, Priaulx, Davis, Karthikeyan and Bruni. And in the scholarship class, Romano in second place from Walker, Mayle, Fleming and Colombo.
It was tough. It wasn't easy. I was confident going into the start that I wanted to overtake him on the start. Got a good start. He was on the inside. I put a little bit of pressure. Maybe he thought I was going to go around the outside. And I got him in the inside coming out.
And you just kept it from there. You must have been a bit worried when the pace car came out, though.
No, well, actually it was to save it because my engine started overheating a bit. And then it managed to cool down a little bit. So on the restart, I got a good restart. My tyres were suffering a little bit in the end, so, but I'm happy. I'm happy for the team, everybody.
You must be absolutely delighted, though, to have your first victory so soon in the season. And here's your dad.
I would have preferred it sooner, but no, I'm very, very happy. I'm happy for the team. They did a great job.
And what do you say to your dad, who's seen you through it all?
Scheckter now closing down championship leader Pizzonia, just 4 points in it. Priaulx, Bruni, Karthikeyan and Davis some way behind. And in the scholarship class, nothing to choose between the chasers, but Gary Paffett is a country mile ahead.
Everybody forward, please. Spray the champagne.
Well, it looks like the Antônio Pizzonia stranglehold on the Formula 3 Championship has at last been broken. John, what do you think?
Yep, it was looking a bit like Pizzonia could just run away with this championship. Nobody was going to tangle with him, but Scheckter's now proved that he is another star. His father's obviously been teaching him lots of tricks in the last couple of weeks. He could be the man most likely to give Pizzonia a run for his money and maybe even win the championship. Who knows?
Well, rounds 4 and 5 are going to be at Donington, but you can see all the action here in F3 on 4.